On this episode of Mighty Car Mods, we're going to attempt to start and dyno the FD RX7. Welcome to another episode of Mighty Car Mods. Today is the day, people, and it's also your last chance to grab a limited edition autograph poster of this mad FD RX7. Now we've come down to Haltech. We've got a few little jobs to do before we can actually put this on the dyno. We need to check it for leaks, to make sure fluids are good. There's a few little suspension changes and things I want to set up so that if it runs and drives, then I'll be able to drive it home. So, I don't know. Let's just start it. Let's just see what happens. Let's go. That's an expensive time to run a rotary, people. Right, so here we are. We got some fuel because it was dead empty, and I stitched Dave up because he was trying to prime fuel pumps, but there was no fuel in it, which happens, forget stuff. But otherwise, it's all looking very good. It's all coming together. We've got our battery in here, got a post that he's made here to make it all work. All this side of the wiring's actually been pretty good. It's mostly now interfacing with the car, and there's like things like low oil buzzers behind the dash, which is obviously very important, but we now have control over a lot of that stuff with the Haltech. So a lot of that stuff is kind of redundant, so now we have to make it behave. So we've got power on there, alternator, batteries in place, got our lithium max, which tells us pretty cool how much charge is in there, ready to rock. I will put a proper bracket on there and also probably insulate it a little bit. And then it's gonna be time to start it, but for now, we're just fiddling around, trying to make it work. Give it a little jiggle and it's like, just all goes.
So weird.
I'm like life.
Gets me every time.
Yeah. Rotary doing what it does best, Davo. Drinking. Do you know that fuel was like $2.40 a litre or $2.35 a litre? Like, it's literally going to cost $1 a minute to run it or something. Drink. Hopefully this all works. Actually, this has never been pressure tested, so I guess we find out today. Dave's thinking face. Scotty's excited face because he's keen to tune a rotary.
I'm glad that this part's not my problem face.
Excuse me? It will be soon, mate. The second we're in that room, this is then your problem.
The wiring part.
Yeah, I know.
We're lucky to have David.
I'm very lucky. Davo has the skills. What are we doing now? We're setting our base fuel pressure. So fuel pressure rig's there. And once we can prime it up, we can make sure nothing leaks. There's so many fittings and connections. Make sure nothing leaks. Check for our oil pressure sensors and everything's working for when we start it. And then try and start it. Nearly time to start the rotary for the first time in years. Dave and Scott helping me because they're legends, basically. We've got a fuel pressure sensor on the fuel rail that sends a signal back to the Haltech, so we'll always know what our fuel pressure is. But we have to set the base pressure using the adjustable regulator. Just going to come back a tiny bit. The last step before we throw it on the dyno is to put the throttle pedal in. So the original one looks a bit like this. It goes up to a cable. So we're going to be able to undo those two 10 mils, get rid of this, and I've got this pedal here, which is out of, I think it's a Chevy or something, right?
It's a Corvette
style
pedal, yeah.
GM anyway, General Motors.
Yeah.
And I've got an adapter plate as well that adapts that into the factory spot, which is, I bought secondhand ages ago. Right when I got the car, actually, because I'm like, this is happening. One way or another, this is going to happen. So I'm going to rip this out, put the new one in, and then we'll have some throttle action. Pedals are actually somewhat similar. It's really good. And then this is the adapter that sits on. The adapter goes in there, donk, and then the pedal sits on top. All that's left to do now is Dave is doing the fuel level sender. So because we put the aftermarket hanger in there, we've got to run wires that go back to the gauge. It will work as it always did. And I've done the pedal, I've done a turbo blanket. So now I think it's just time to start it up. Scotty's going to run some magic numbers to get it to idle. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous because it hasn't run for a long time. Just because it hasn't. So Scotty's going to do numbers. Me and Dave are going to check for leaks and other things. And cross our freaking fingers is what's going to happen. It's very noisy and very smoky, most likely.
Okay. Well, just have a look at the starter and see if it's plugged in. Laptop off.
No starter is what just happened. So now I get to panic quietly while we try and fix that. Tell me you've never stolen a car without telling me you've never stolen a car. Just brought his screwdriver. is good.
Turning over. Sounds.
Sounds good.
Yeah, you can hear some of the
You can never
pulses.
quite tell, but it does sound good.
Okay.
What would
Now
you
we just got to
like
make sure
though?
it's triggering properly. Because that's the wire that triggers it, right?
Yes, this pin. Yeah.
So we just got to make sure that that's actually
So we're
doing.
going to clutch in this time because I actually have no idea whether that's part of the
I can't
circuit,
remember.
but it could be. So I'm going to clutch in this time.
So possibly it's got a clutch switch that disables that.
It definitely has a clutch switch, but what it does in the car, I don't know. But that's what we're going to find out.
All right, let's do it.
Look how fancy that is.
Nice. Huh? We're seeing some sort of
Just there
signal
was something there. Yeah.
on the triggering. That looks comfy, Dave. Do you fit?
I feel. I don't know. I drive to Canberra.
Drive across Japan. Yeah, we did.
All right, mate. Ready when you are.
Hey!
Hold up. Amazing.
What are you seeing, Scotty?
So what we've got, the yellow one
Yep.
is the reluctor voltage, so the analog signal coming in. The blue one is after it's been processed into a digital signal. So we're seeing 12 teeth, then 1 reset, 12, 1 reset, 12, 1 reset, which is what the rotary's got. It's got a 24 and 2 trigger system. So we're seeing that digitally, so that looks really good to me.
Awesome.
The next thing we'll do is get Davo to just give it a crank again, and we'll say synchronization level. Hopefully that's going to go to full. Ready when you are, mate. Beautiful. All right, we hold up there.
That's looking good.
Do we turn the fuel on and just see what happens?
Oh, do we? Do we want to make clouds of smoke?
Yes.
Yes, didn't even hesitate.
Yes. All right, I don't have super high hopes. This might take a while to get running just because it's been a little while. All right.
Semi-confident the coils are all wired correctly as well.
What'd you say, Dave?
I'm semi-confident the coils are wired correctly as well. Not 100% sure.
They're all labelled, but yeah, who knows?
I've been rushing a bit, so, but yes, it should be alright.
Ready when you are, mate. Let's see what happens.
What?
Rotaries are unreliable.
Rotaries are unreliable. What are they talking about? Hey! Good on you, Davo. Yeah. You're gonna gas everyone out so badly. Oh, the smoke. Omar mentioned that if the oil metering pump system is
Come through from the other way.
oh yeah, go. Just appears through the smoke. Omar was telling us that if the OMP system, when you mess with it like we have, and it does that, it's because it's just lined the whole exhaust with oil. And so these little pipes here that run oil into the housings, you have to adjust the way that that's triggered so that it doesn't do that. Dyno fan doing dyno fan things. We have a slight problem here. That is a big puddle of engine oil. It looks like it's gone down the side of the block. You can see there. Actually, it's coming from here. Alright, so this is all user error here. That's just spinning in the wind. So fingers crossed that's the only oil leak we're going to encounter, but we've messed with a lot of the oiling system, particularly around here. So we're going to fix that and then keep an eye out for the rest. Could be worse, Scotty.
Yeah, that's the easiest oil pressure ever, easiest oil leak ever.
Alright, here we go. I can top up the oil. I fixed my leak. I put that all over the floor to clean up the oil later. I'm just going to top it up with a little bit more GTX, get it up on the stick in the right spot. Everything else is looking good. We do want to run it again. Scott really wants to see it run, and then he'll take the map, take it up to his office and sort of tweak it all there, and then hopefully this time tomorrow we're on the dyno. Alright, we've got oil. Sounds so smooth. That is some excellent progress. So the plan is to come back tomorrow and put it on the dyno, start it up, run it, make sure it's all good, and just a whole lot of this. See you then. I've still never actually driven this awesome car with the power it's supposed to have from the factory, let alone the extra power that our mods are likely to unlock. So with some last minute fluid top ups, it's time to get this thing onto the dyno. Things are looking good in here. There's a few little loose ends like that. We got a purge valve. I think it's off some kind of Toyota or Mitsubishi, but the actual plug itself we didn't have. So I went down to the wreckers. I also had to get a drain plug for the radiator. So I got one of them off a Mazda 6, and this is off some kind of Hyundai. But either way, it fits our purge valve perfectly. So Dave will be able to connect that wire up to the Haltech, and that way we'll be able to purge. What's purge? That's where it sucks all the vapors out of the fuel tank and burns it. The most important thing, it's an emissions thing, but also it stops smells, which is why I like to always connect it up. Stops your tank breathing and being stinky. Right, we've got the car loaded up on the dyno, and now Scotty wants to check stuff. So we're going to check the timing. So we put the timing light on the leading spark plug. We've got 4 there. So leading's at the bottom, trailing's at the top. And then we're going to make sure that the timing is all right. We'll check it with the light, lock the timing on the ECU. And the only thing I'm worried about a little bit is there is an oil leak down there, but yesterday we did hose the whole top of the engine with a loose fitting on an oil pressure sensor, which is just my fault. Got to do it up. Normally you wouldn't get any oil leaks that high, so everything is sort of going down the side. I've cleaned it all up as best I can and just crossing my fingers now. Everything else I've double checked. It's about as good as it's going to get. It's got coolant in it. Whole lot of this today. Like more than ever. Like more than a Subaru, which is saying something. This is the part of dynoing a car that I often dread. If a car hasn't moved for a long time, which is often the case when you're working on a project car, all these little problems can rear their ugly heads right about now. It's when everything starts to get hot again, everything's moving again, and if something's going to leak out of it, this is exactly the time it's going to happen. But so far so good, checking the timing, everything looks okay, and the smoke that's coming out of it is kind of what I'd expect for something that's had so many fluids down the side of it. We've survived what is arguably the hardest part of a dyno session, and that is that first few minutes of making sure that nothing's leaking. Now this looks like a smoke show, but that's just all the wrap burning off and all the solvents and stuff that's been there down there to clean it burning off. I'm not seeing any more oil leaks, which I'm stoked about. But we also now want to make sure it's got enough coolant. It's burped, the temperature came up and then quickly dropped down, which means that the thermostat opened and sucked all the coolant through, which means this now might need a top up. So I'll let it sit for a minute, top it up, let everything sort of settle in and burn in, and I'm feeling more confident by the minute. Doesn't mean we're getting out of here with a working rotary, but it means we might. That's what matters. Every couple of minutes, we're shutting the car down and checking the fluids. I'm topping up the coolant to make sure there's enough of that in there, and after we've done a little bit more driving and before we do our big power runs, I'm going to double check the oil level. The car does look pretty awesome on the dyno, and I cannot wait to get it back onto the street again. All right, Scotty, it's time. It's made a lot of smoke. It's leaked a lot, so it's done 2 rotary things. The third rotary thing it needs to do is make power and drive home. Well, that's 2 things.
So far, so good. So we're in here. It's a little bit more intimate than we're used to.
Like a K-truck. It's actually got less room than the K-truck.
Does it really?
Yeah, man. Like it's...
I know I shouldn't like this, but it's no secret that FD,
oh, man.
It's the most beautiful car ever made.
Isn't it?
It's not made for me, but I love sitting in here and I'm excited to sit on the dyno with it because it is silky smooth.
Isn't it?
Oh.
I guess it doesn't have any porting or anything, but I'm still surprised that it can be that era, like 20-something years old, just go whoop, and it's just sound, and the car doesn't move.
It's beautiful.
No shaking.
Yep, really nice. So Davo's done a cracking job doing your conversion harness and getting it right.
He really has.
She starts, it runs. The most important thing is the ignition timing check. So on a rotary, critical.
Yeah.
So because we've got leading coils and trailing coils, and it is a little bit confusing how they're laid out on the engine. So we would never want to get leading and trailing back to front or 1 and 2 back to front, because just like the difference on a rotary is if you get a leading and trailing back to front, it's not immediately noticeable.
Really?
Like you're changing the leading and trailing by say roughly 10, 12 degrees, something like that, but it can be catastrophic. So we've checked that and we've made sure that our leadings are our leadings and our trailings are trailings.
Oh yeah, we did.
I've checked that we've got stage 1. So this has got 2 primary injectors, 2 secondary injectors, and how they're going to work is our 2 primary injectors are pulsing. So it's just running off 2 injectors until they are 30% used.
Oh, really?
And then I'm going to hold them at 30%, and then our secondary set of injectors are going to come up till they're at 30%. And the injectors are different sizes, so I think we've got 1000s and 1600s.
Correct.
Then both sets are going to use maths and a little bit of magic to go from 30 up to 100% at the same time.
Yeah.
So we get the most amount of fuel into our 2-cycle 4-stroke engine, which is a little bit confusing.
Yes.
We want to get as much fuel in as possible in the shortest amount of time.
Okay.
And that's the magic in a rotary, in a 2-cycle engine, in a diesel engine.
Right.
A port style injection, not so much. Direct injected, smallest amount of time, most amount of fuel. Get it in there, get it done.
Okay.
So that's the reason or the plan for having giant injectors in this thing.
Yes, and also the secondaries are in a different spot too, right?
They are.
They've got longer to do their thing.
Okay, so the next part of that is injection timing. So we want to spray the injector so that all of the fuel's sitting there for the inlet port ready to open. So it goes in, port seals off, and then we're not spraying any more fuel.
Right.
That's measured in an angle, so the angle that we need to spray to when we spray the fuel as to when it goes in. If you've got the injector close to the port, we need to fire it as a closer angle. If you put the injector up here, we need to fire it from further away so that we spray the fuel, then it goes into the airstream, then it gets in. So the secondary injector will fire a bit before the primary injector. Fingers crossed, it all just kind of goes together.
I know you said there's a little bit of magic. Like, to me, this is all a lot of magic. I love hearing this stuff. I love, like you guys, dyno videos that we do, they always go for long. It's because I can't bring myself to cut this to 2 minutes, man. I know some people just be like, "Oh, put the dyno," and then it goes. It's like, this is where all that magic sort of comes into being, and seeing it in your software is where it all starts to make sense to me. Because you spray the fuel, but where? Oh, here's the angle, here's the different timing.
It's like, I love this. And the
the
rotary, I love it. It's a challenge, but they are so smooth when they run well.
Yeah. So any other major flags for anyone who's playing along at home thinking about getting their rotary tuned or tuning it? Is there any other like top 3 things that you would go, this is absolutely things you have to think about compared to a piston engine?
Yeah, things with rotaries are oiling to make sure that we either got premixed or that the oil metering pump is working correctly.
Which we found out yesterday is.
Perfect. Yep, we had that back to front, so we had plenty of oil in it to get the thing running after 2-ish years of not starting, which was probably the best thing we could have done for the motor, is to have a whole bunch of oil in it, so all the seals, everything's all oiled and greasy. So making sure that the thing's got oil, because remembering that this engine actually eats its own engine oil in order to survive.
Yep.
We've got fueling, so air to fuel ratio on a rotary engine is a little bit different, where we want to run them quite rich.
Okay.
So in this thing, we don't really talk about fuel economy as much, where we want to, say for example, on a piston engine, I might want to run it at 12 to 1, 12.5 to 1 on petrol.
Yep.
On a rotary engine, I'd be bringing that down. It might be at 10.5.
Oh, really?
11 and a half to 1, depending on where we're at.
Yep.
So we do run them a little bit richer. And ignition timing is a critical thing on this. So stepping away from fueling and talking about ignition timing. On a petrol engine, typically you'll see, remember when we do dyno pulls and we go timing more and more and more and more?
And then bring it back a bit.
Typically with a rotary engine, you don't really want to be chasing power with ignition timing.
Okay.
If we get too aggressive with ignition timing, you'll know about it, because things will go pear-shaped pretty quickly.
Yeah, okay. Not forgiving.
Not forgiving.
Right.
You don't really get that chance to either audibly hear detonation or see it in the tailpipe.
Okay.
Like a like a piston engine, I should say.
You just see apex seals in the roof?
You do, or you'll dent something, or the next time you go to start it, you'll think, oh, okay, that's...
All right.
So typically we kind of know what sort of ignition timing we want, and we're going to fire... Our leading is going to fire somewhere around 10 degrees, sort of 10 degrees, and then with RPM we might get up to 11, 12, 13 degrees.
Okay.
Our trailing ignition timing is going to fire, a safe number is about 10 degrees after the leadings. Yep. If we start trying to chase power with ignition timing, we're normally in the wrong place.
Right.
We normally need more boost, a different turbocharger, different porting. There's something else going on that's limiting us.
On that, and lastly, before we get into it, modification-wise, it's technically a stock block, stock housing, stock rotors, whatever, with a lot of breathing mods. So we're well into the future. We've got big fuel system, we've got big exhaust, 3.5 inch for a lot of it. We've got a turbo that's significantly sized, the stuff I spoke to Rob Dahm about when he was over. We've got all those supporting mods, intercooler, breathing mods, a big intake. I think it's about as good as it gets in terms of giving the engine its best chance, but we're clearly not going to be making 600, 700, 800 horsepower today, even though the turbo might do it. That is unrealistic expectations. On petrol, I'm imagining if we're around 200 and something kilowatts, 300-ish horsepower, that's a good place to be.
Yeah, on a stock motor in something like this, that's probably right on the money. If we said very, very low 200s, I'd be super excited.
Cool.
All those mods around it, the breathing for a rotary engine is absolutely critical. We want no exhaust back pressure. We want the biggest rear housing that you can tolerate driving with the associated lag. Nice cool air and a nice clean engine bay now, so we can look at everything and everything's nice and easy. I think we'll probably talk about revs, so I think we'll end up revving it to about 8 grand, give or take.
Awesome.
You won't even notice. Rotaries love revs.
You don't, and that was so, it fooled me when we were in Japan because it would keep revving and it was making the same 100 and, last time we dynoed this on this dyno, it made 125, 128 kilowatts, something like that. And you would keep revving it, and because it kept building revs, it was moving, it just didn't have that extra hit. So I mean, potentially today we're going to end up with at least another 50 to 100 kilowatts on top of that.
And remembering like what we talk about, power is torque times RPM divided by 5252, the most important thing for when we're measuring power. So if we know that this engine is making X amount of torque, and we know that the RPM comes up, the torque comes down, this thing just draws a diagonal line, which is why it makes it feel like that. Of course.
Doesn't fall off a cliff as much.
You feel funny in a rotary engine because the harder you rev it, it's not upset. It's not a four-stroke engine that's got things happening and pushing and pulling in different directions. It's not a problem to cruise this thing at third gear at 4,000, 5,000 RPMs. No, that's what. And the truth is, if you've got a RX7 or if you've got an RX8, you're doing it a favour. Don't be shy of holding it on good revs.
Okay.
Everything wants to spin out and seal, and all of those apex seals are going to be thanking you for revving the thing.
Yep. Well, there you go, people. It's probably time for a toilet break now. We could keep talking for hours about all this. I think it's so interesting, but it's time to see what the car can actually do, see if it holds together, see if the work is all paid off, if nothing leaks, nothing breaks. Who knows? You never know on the dyno, which is why I always feel a little bit of trepidation towards it, but so far so good. The first 10 minutes have gone well.
All right, well, let's get the hard part. 100 kilowatts. 100 kilowatts, we know that's the hard bit.
All right, let's do it.
Driving it really does make you want to do this.
Oh yeah.
And always the double blip, never a single blip in a rotary. Part of a driving test, I reckon. The fueling is there's something going on because now we're pulling 25% at idle where we weren't before.
A fuel pressure related thing, you think? Oh, it just shot flames, James said. Because it pumped fuel in it, maybe.
I'm just watching, just to get a bit of a feel for what it's trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah, fueling, maybe. It does have a funny lift pump and then swirl pod arrangement. I can put more fuel in it. If there's any chance, because it was dead empty. You know what I mean? So it's easy enough to do, take 10 minutes, if you're concerned at all.
Let me just watching now, unless the injector is coming good.
Coming what, sorry?
Like coming good, like something's happening where it just doesn't make sense just yet, but...
Yeah, okay. Blow the cat up on the dyno?
Sorry?
You think it'll blow the cat out of it?
Well, possibly. That's something to do with the cam sensor, that noise.
Not supposed to do that. It's not an engine protection thing.
Alright, so that's what's going on.
Hardware?
Yeah, you can see. So this is the cam tooth coming through. We've got the actual tooth, and then there's noise after it. And so that's the raw reluctor signal. After the processing, that's what the micro is actually seeing. So that tooth is not supposed to be there.
Okay.
So what we need to figure out, that voltage is at 4 point something up there. I wonder if I try and put it at 7 or something, whatever the highest number for the cam. Looks like that's what's going on.
Is that just old car, old sensor things, or wiring things, or?
Yeah, old car, I reckon. Reluctors are really good. They're just when they're shit, they're shit. Okay, we got rid of it on the cam now. I think we're good.
Wow, that was great. Still hot. Alright, run number 1. Just a soft run to see what's going on. Had to fiddle around with triggering stuff, fueling stuff, check the coolant. We're going to have to stop it again, check everything. But for now, I want to do one run just to see where it's at.
Just to prove that the rear end, everything in the car actually gets to the rev limiter, and we'll just make sure it's all nice and then figure it out.
Great, let's do it.
Alright, we'll just go part throttle, and if it feels good at the top, we'll keep into it.
Okay.
Here we go.
Oh, what just flew out?
Hey?
Oh, the cat maybe just blew up.
The cat,
Cat.
was it the wastegate opening at the front and all the dust going everywhere?
Yeah, the wastegate opening. Yeah, sparks and all sorts of stuff. Wow, 180 kilowatts just like that. What kind of boost was that?
So, first thing we'll do is we'll go...
I guess that's the first time the gate's opened.
That's it, yeah.
So any junk that's in there is coming out.
Reasonably happy with that. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Let's call it 10-ish pounds, and it has made 8.9 pounds at 3.5 grand.
Right.
So, like, not terrible.
So not unusual to see stuff sprayed at the gate?
Nah, not at all.
Okay.
No,
You didn't seem worried.
Yeah, I'm not fussed yet. And especially as well, remembering how much pressure's coming out of that you probably cleaned our floor a little bit as well. A lot of dust, just a lot of stuff going on. So let's quick look at mixtures just to make sure. We've started at about 10.5 to 1 as our target.
It all happens pretty quickly, doesn't it? The revs build fast.
And we just used in total about 50% of the injection system of the injectors.
Good to know.
So that's also telling me that those secondary injectors are probably a little bit smaller than what we think.
Okay, all right.
So that's all right. Our ignition timing just then was 8 to 12 degrees, depending on how we'd revved it.
Yep.
Mate, overall, well done.
Good news.
We made 100 kilowatts.
Yep, we made 100 kilowatts. First run down.
Coolant temperature throughout that run started at 93, ended at 93.
So if you're holding lots of load on it for a long time, up a massive hill that's 28 k's long, you might see it overheat.
Yeah, she just
so maybe need some mods to get more air to that radiator, possibly.
Oil pressure, pretty much 100 pounds the whole time.
Good.
Fuel pressure, 55-ish pounds, give or take.
Good.
Which is 45 pounds, and then our 9 or 10 boost manifold pressure to make it 55.
The reg's working.
Beautiful.
Tick, tick, tick. Fantastic. I mean, I haven't had a car that shoots flames out the front and the back before. First time for everything.
No trigger stuff now, that feels really good. Oh, she comes back to idle so nice.
Good. And you're not seeing any weirdness in the bottom of the fuel map now?
It's still, there is something peculiar. See, now we're adding 3% there.
Yeah.
Whereas before I was taking a giant amount out.
Right.
But I don't really want to adjust the VE table because the engine's not changing. The
No.
fueling is changing.
Correct, okay.
So I think getting some fuel in it. The other part is when we free rev it up here, to try and get it in the ballpark. Pretty good, pretty good.
Oh yeah, okay.
All of a sudden it wants a huge amount of fuel, but it doesn't. It's not real.
Right. Interesting. And that's not your O2 sensor lying to you at all?
No.
No?
No, there's something else happening there.
Okay.
What I can probably try is put the little rotary hump in it.
Yeah, well. Just that one spot. I can't think of what that could be.
So
it's such a small...
We'll muck around with the injection angle there as well. There might be something funny going on where it wants us to inject it a bit earlier or a bit later.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because we've got much bigger injectors at the factory, aftermarket fuel rails, aftermarket everything else. Swings the other way. Yeah, interesting.
Weird, eh?
Yeah, real weird. All right, here's a little progress report for you people. Here's what happened. We made 180 kilowatts. We got smells. It's smoking a lot because I'm pretty sure my oil metering pump, the little valve that's in there, they are known to fail after time. That one's probably 23 years old and may have failed. So it's just a bit of oil running down the side of the block, whatever, getting very hot and turning into smoke. So it's making it all a bit stinky, but it's not using that much oil and it's running fine. But we are noticing another issue, which you noticed in the tune.
Yeah,
The theory?
so what I was starting to see, because we've got really big fuel injectors in this thing, just being a rotary, the primaries being 1000cc injectors, something funny was happening because I was getting the tune bang on song after it had used a bit of fuel, so when we're loading it up and making it a bit of power, but then when it came back to idle and sat, the mixtures would go a little bit funny and the tune-up was off song again, meaning that either I hadn't done the right job or the airflow has changed or the fuel injector has changed. So after a bit of hunting, we've found the way that the fuel rails are plumbed, that the injector is actually getting pretty hot, and when the injectors are getting hot, the seals inside them are swelling, so the injector flow rate is actually changing because of injector temperature, something that we can't really do that much about.
This is a rookie error on my part, absolutely. When I was putting in all the fuel rails, I didn't really know where everything would sit, having not looked at rotaries much before, so I've kind of made it all compact and tried to give myself lots of room, but what I've done is put it in a hot area. So the injectors you can't avoid, they're just going to be in a hot spot, but all the other lines and the fuel regulator and everything else should really be over here somewhere. Just to stay cool because there is so much heat.
And what's happening, because it's all dead-headed, so by that what we mean is that it's got, the fuel pump comes up to the fuel pressure regulator and it's returning, and then we've got one hose that goes out and feeds both of the rails. So the only way that fuel comes out of the rails is by using it through the fuel injectors.
Yeah.
If it was not sort of dead-headed, or if it was using the fuel from the fuel tank that comes up, flows through the fuel rails, goes through the fuel regulator, then returns to the tank, we're kind of using the fuel as a coolant so that it cools the rails, in turn helping that injector to stay a bit cooler.
So good for packaging, but bad for just about everything else. So that's something I've got to revise. So between that and an oil leak though, that's really it, and which is great. So I'm actually really happy. I've learned something. I've learned rotaries make a shit ton of heat, although everyone told me that the whole time. I just didn't figure that would happen. But yeah, and oil leaks is just old car stuff.
Mate, I would argue extraordinary.
Good result.
I absolutely love it.
So luckily for us, our day isn't over. Now, we're not going to go chase huge power numbers and put ethanol in it, do all that, because knowing our fuel system will need some revision, there's really no point. But you want to make sure the gate's working?
Yeah, we may as well get a full list of stuff to fix. So what we'll end up, I'm going to rough a tune into it and use the O2 control off the oxygen sensor so that we'll give it tolerances a little bit wider so it can do a lot more work, which technically we probably shouldn't do, but it can get us out of trouble so that you'll be able to drive it off boost in those areas and it'll drive well. On boost, we're using the fuel so the problem goes away a little bit, and I want to make sure the boost control and the wastegate and that config is working correctly.
All right, so back into it. Making sure the wastegate works actually means paging up for power with some boost. So we're going to do it and just see how it responds. Let's go.
Pretty happy with everything.
Fantastic.
So what I'm going to try and do is come to my boost control, and I'm going to target 12 pounds instead of the sort of 10-ish that it had. Bring it up and see what happens. Come on. Front fan.
Got your Mighty Carmod's earmuffs.
Oh, yeah.
Importantly,
They're really good.
they're great. Did you see 12?
It needed, at 12 pounds, it needed a lot. It needed about 55%, I think.
It's getting there though.
It's there.
It's working.
Happy?
So this will be run number 2 then.
Run number 2.
Run number 2 and more duty cycle on the wastegate.
Yes, so we're going to go from 10 pounds to 12 pounds,
Okay.
just to prove that we can.
Well, let's go.
Start my data logger, wide open, let it rip.
Wow. Now it's partying. Wow. That just woke the turbo up in a big way, didn't it? Letting it sing. 229 kilowatts.
229.
Wow, that really wants the boost.
So let's see the big wave in the boost control there. Let's
Yeah.
have a look and see what happens. So that was a bit of a guess to start with. So I pulled out of it up the top
Okay.
at not a lot, nearly 7 grand.
Yeah.
Gonna just check the crank sensor, so no trigger errors.
It's
I'm
definitely
really happy with
opening
that.
so we can hear the gauge. So.
Yeah. So what happened was, got a bit carried away. It came on at 17,
Right.
shut itself down, and then look, the reality of it is, at that top power, it's at 12 pounds. So that's where things can look a little bit funny. So we'll see this in the screen recording,
Yeah.
where if I bring up my throttle position, just so you can see what I was doing. So I was wide open throttle here,
Oh yeah, I can see the dip.
and I'll just zoom to there. So that's, we started the dyno run there at 2000 RPM, wide open throttle. As it comes on, now, I have to get another channel there for boost control output. But what's happened was I've guessed it, I said, nah, it was way
running away.
too spicy.
Sure.
17 pounds, it's gone 5 pounds over my target of 12.
Wow,
So
okay.
that was the dip where the output turns off.
Right.
It's come back, under, tried again, and now it's started to settle. So what I would suggest is, what we can do,
Yeah. How do you solve that?
start at 55%.
Yep.
No, went way too high, it turned
too
off.
high. Okay.
Then, in order to achieve 12 pounds, it kind of ended up at 44%. So, what I should do,
Oh, that's what you need to know for your table.
I need to put 44 in there.
And then you're going to smooth it up to the 100%, which we'll never use.
Yeah, and more for me down the track, that helps a little bit, because if we wind it up at the track, I kind of, at least there's a shape built into
Yeah,
it.
okay.
Really nice to have a shape built into everything.
Yeah.
This is how long it's going to sit at that 44%. So from 2000 RPM, it's going to sit at that 44% for 2 seconds.
Yep.
Idea here being that it stays at that sort of start duty cycle until the boost stabilizes.
Yeah.
Then we look at the manifold pressure, and then we use that PID, the proportional integral derivative control in order to achieve the target.
And you're looking at it quicker and quicker each time as it goes up. Is that what that is?
Yeah, because basically the delay at higher RPM, it's going to come on boost.
So you want to see quicker
and reach that target pressure quicker.
Otherwise, you're happy with the ignition map and the fueling map and everything else?
So what I'm going to do, not to waste a run, the next thing I'm going to do is look at our air-fuel ratios. So I'm going to look at our actual mixture.
Yes. Versus what you've asked it to do.
Beautiful. You've danced this before.
I have.
There's our target.
It's pretty good. And the waves, waving around?
Yeah, that was from the boost control coming on and hitting to the slight boost cut.
Yeah.
But then as it stabilised here,
looks bang on.
I wanted 10.5, it's got 10.2, and I can tell at that it's pulling out a bucket of fuel. So what I'm going to do there as well, basically from...
You want to smooth that line out.
10 pounds, 4 grand onwards. Let's have a look at what it's doing. 10 pounds, 4 grand onwards. Yep. There's a bit of a shape through there that I can knock that middle bit out of it.
It's got too much fuel in it currently.
Just too much fuel. Yep. So not ridiculous. If I just go pull 10 pounds out of there, figure out roughly where it kind of lines up about there. That'll get us kind of a bit more in the ballpark. Awesome. We'll look at the oil pressure while we're there and just make sure that nothing silly's going on. Beautiful. Thumbs up. Loves it.
Cool.
Fuel pressure.
See any weird waves due to our nothing when we're using the fuel, right?
No, beautiful. So the softwares, we've got two different things on that one down there. I'll get rid of these. Fuel pressure and fuel pressure expected. So fuel pressure is the fuel pressure in the line. Fuel pressure expected is the one that, remember, the differential fuel pressure, remember, which is because of the rising rate reg. So fuel pressure plus manifold pressure.
Yeah.
And we're bang on. So that reg's performing flawlessly. The fuel system's beautiful.
Right. So now the computer knows what gear we're in.
Spot on.
At all times.
Yeah. So we can do boost corrections, fueling, ignition corrections. We can display it on the dashboard, like if we ever decide to put a dash in this thing.
Very good.
And last but not least,
starting to get more sneaky now that everything's got hot.
It's happening again.
Yeah.
All right. Fueling looked pretty good. Everything looked all right. Now, boost control, and we're going to let out a bit more road as well, just to be a bit more friendly on it.
Yeah.
So that the ramp will happen faster.
So, first one was 180, second one was 229. This is now with fixed boost control.
All right, here we go.
Let's do it. So many revs. To the moon.
How wicked are they?
To the moon. 223 kilowatts, man, that is bang on what we kind of expected, right? On petrol.
How sick, sorry. Don't worry about that yet.
I know.
How sick is it? It should stop now. It should stop. It should stop.
Going. Up 300 horsepower. Fantastic.
It's
pretty good.
223 kilowatts.
Pretty good.
12 pounds, 1992. Admittedly, we didn't have Nexus ECUs or billet turbochargers,
that's right.
or pretty much anyone who could TIG weld.
Well,
but the truth is, I don't even know that because I was in primary school. No, I wasn't.
Yeah, you were.
Oh, yeah.
The technology of the engine itself is no different.
I have so much respect for the rotary engine.
Amazing. It is.
Look at the grunt that it makes. Like,
the curve is great.
Oh,
but you can't not be happy with that.
I'm going to save that one. I'm going to come over here.
And it all went as you expected. The clutch is holding on.
Oh.
It sounded pretty wild.
And I'm going to knock off that red trace. This bit here, so along here, so pretty much what we ended up with.
Yep.
Our mixtures are at 1050s.
Yep.
Probably a little bit keen. We could do we could lean that off, but rule of thumb, that's
knowing
where
we're going to change the fuel system and probably come back for ethanol, I don't think so.
It comes on boost. It just makes 450 newton meters of torque.
Pretty good.
It's a rotary. It just comes on. That's what it's going to do. That's the end of it. That's the reason why the fuel map's so flat. That's the reason why the ignition map's so flat. It just makes that torque. It's done.
Pretty cool, man.
This little lump here, this is our staging point. This is where the primaries are changing over. And I am struggling with that. With the way that we do staging, that shouldn't be an issue. So I'm very confident that when the fuel rails change, we're golden.
Yeah, cool.
Do we have a look here and see what's going on? Because now we can compare against that other pool. Our maximum boost pressure was actually 13.6.
Right.
We revved it to 7,566.
Yep. Sounded like way more than that, didn't it?
Oh man. The noise
sounded
is
like
just
10,000.
outrageous.
It's great.
Within reason, she's rich and she's happy at the moment.
Fantastic.
Pressure.
This is one of my favourite things about an aftermarket ECU, specifically a Haltech ECU, is look how much information we get now, and not just on making 300 horsepower. It's like, what's your alternator doing? What's your oil pressure doing? What's your fuel pressure doing? How do they relate to each other? Is something that I think people don't really realise potentially is so useful as an owner of the car. Even if you're not the person that tuned it, I can go at any point and look at this and go, oh, that's a bit weird. It's like it's just not lining up. You don't have to know how to necessarily tune the whole car to be able to use this data to your advantage.
There's huge value in having the laptop or the ECU logging all the time, because the tiny, just knowing all of these things and knowing the right things to look for when you're on the dyno that are going to cause problems down the track.
Pretty cool, man.
Your injectors there are sitting at 60 and 65% injector duty
Well
cycle.
sized then.
So feeling pretty good, and if we added ethanol to it, we'd add about 40% to that number, so that would be about the maximum ethanol number with these injectors.
Okay.
Our oil and our fuel pressure was fantastic. Oh.
Very good.
I'm quite pleased with it.
And we're not done, because we will come back. We will put some ethanol in it, because we can, because we've got the turbo for it, we've got the supporting mods. Will the engine take it? Who knows? But in the meantime, I'll be able to fix a couple of those little issues and also drive the thing, which is the main aim of all of this, really. Actually drive it, because the rest of the car works great. 300 horsepower, 220 something kilowatts. Pretty much exactly what we expected.
Man,
13 pounds.
spot on. When it had no boost in it, when we were like on wastegate of sort of 8 pounds, we were thinking, oh, all right, But that big turbocharger wants to spin. As soon as it had like 1 pound, you're like, oh.
Wakey, wakey, and on comes the power. So overall, a pretty amazing result. Actually, when I started seeing smoke and leaks and other stuff, I'm like, oh, we're not going to have a good day. But actually, this result is awesome.
Flawless.
Yeah.
We've got, when the wastegate blows down, a little bit scary because there's smoke, there's dust,
Noise.
there's just, it's going everywhere.
Yep.
There's a little bit of an oil sort of puff, and we know that. That's all making sense. It is silky smooth. The gearbox, the diff, the tail shaft, the engine is super healthy.
Yep.
The power that it's making is exactly to the number what we were expecting.
And it's exactly 100 kilowatts more than what it made when it was broken. And the engine is the same.
Yeah, and keeping in mind as well now, the serviceability now on a single turbo setup,
All of it.
amazing.
All of it.
I'm super excited that it went as well as it did.
And a good day on the dyno is when you can drive it home, which is exactly what we're going to do. Drive it back to Super Garage. I do have some more work to do on this, and we will come back at some stage with some ethanol and fix all that sort of thing up. But at the moment, it's totally drivable, which is great, minus the oil leak, which I'll fix. And then, actually get to put some Ks on it and just enjoy the thing, which has been the purpose the whole time. So thank you very much.
Pleasure. I can't wait to drive it whenever you guys adjust the seat and have to, however you make that work.
I don't fit. I mean, look how much taller I am than you, and I don't fit.
You reckon it's a cruel joke that S15 and FD RX7, but
I know. If you're over 6'1", 2, it's all over.
They're just nice to look at, that's all.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching. That's the dyno. Going to jump in the car, go for a little drive, and just enjoy this freaking awesome machine. Fantastic. Oh, it feels so smooth. All the best things about the rotary, except it actually has power now. Let's go. How good? That's fantastic. So there you go, everybody. Dyno feels freaking great. Could not be happier. It's got that nice modern turbo on it, all new stuff. It's been gone through, one or two little niggly things to fix, but aside from that, a really, really good result. 225 kilowatts roughly, 300 horsepower, really good for 98 fuel on a stock engine with about 13 pounds of boost in it. Not bad at all. And, as always, there's still some room for improvement.